Once upon a time, at the bottom of a very deep well, there lived two friends, a snake and a frog. These two friends were inseparable. They hung out together at the bottom of the well day and night, and everything was fine and peaceful until they both became fathers. That is to say, when the children came on the scene. When I say children, we're talking multiple births and then some, because Father Snake and Father Frog had a whole bunch of froglets and snakelets. They were everywhere. In the beginning, things were okay, but in no time at all, a serious problem developed that caused Father Snake great concern. At first, all he did was grumble about the problem to his wife until she just had about enough of his complaining, and she strongly advised him to talk to his friend, the frog. Now, here was the problem. The froglets, mischievous by nature, were causing quite a stir at the bottom of the well. It seems that the baby frogs were bouncing and frolicking around, mucking up the water at the bottom of the well. The quality of life rapidly began to deteriorate for everyone concerned. It was murky all of the time, and navigating the waters became exceedingly difficult for the two families. While Father Snake was concerned about the environmental problems caused by the froglets, he viewed the problem from a different point of view. It seems that his children, the snakelets, were copying the froglets' silly antics, and they too were misbehaving and causing a lot of the muck and the mire. There was mass confusion in the well all of the time. Father Snake tried his best to control his children, but it seems as though they could not be swayed from copying their little froglet friends. Father Snake decided to have a little chat with his friend the frog. He told the frog, in no uncertain terms, to please instruct his froglets to behave themselves and to stop mucking up the waters. Teach them some manners. Tell them to stop stirring up the water and making life difficult for everyone. Furthermore, I do not like it one bit that my offspring are copying your children's bad behavior. Do something with your children. Of course, Father Frog, without hesitation, promised his good friend the snake that he would put a stop to his children's antics immediately. Don't worry, he said. I'll take care of the problem right away. Tonight, my kids will get a good licking, and this mucking up the mud business will stop. Don't you worry, my friend. I'll take care of the problem. Well, I'm shocked to report that Father Frog said one thing to his friend and did the complete opposite. That's right, he did absolutely nothing about the problem. Finally, one day, Father Snake reached the point when he just about had enough. Fed up and disgusted, he moved his family, every last little snakelet, from the bottom of the well to the surface of the water. He was quite pleased with himself. He felt confident that his youngsters now were not going to be associating with the froglet rascals, and they'd behave themselves perfectly well and keep out of trouble. Well, living on the surface of the well opened up a whole new world for the snake family. In no time at all, the snakelets began indulging in a little mischief all on their very own. Yep, that's right. Those little snakelets began nipping at the feet and legs of all of the people who came to draw water from the well. Of course, they also took little nips at the hands, dipping into the well with buckets of water. The people were not happy and did the only thing they could do. They declared war on the snakes, and thus the battle between mankind and the snake kingdom began. The people picked up sticks to protect themselves, began bopping those little snakelets across the head and killing some of them. In the meantime, the froglets, unaware of the danger lurking on the surface of the well water, began hanging out with their old playmates, the snakelets, at the top of the well. Now keep in mind right here in the story that the froglets never once took a nip or tried to bite the people. It wasn't in their nature to be disagreeable. In fact, they were just as playful and silly on the surface as they were at the bottom of the well. They just kept jumping around, having a grand old time. Unfortunately, as the people tried to stop the snakelets from biting them, they continued bopping the snakelets, killing them off one by one. Well now, the little frogs, you could say, were in the wrong place at the wrong time, and they were in danger. The little frogs were in harm's way, and as the people bopped away at the snakelets, many of the froglets were being injured and dying as well. Father Frog was devastated. He went to his old friend the snake and begged him to do something with his little snakes. "Please tell your children to start behaving themselves. Tell them to stop biting the people. Let's all live in harmony, okay? My little froglets are not harming the people, yet because of your children's dreadful behavior, my children are suffering, dying. Please, in the name of friendship, do something with your children." Father Snake assured him that he would do something immediately. He'd put a stop to this insanity. "Of course I'll talk to my children and make them stop this bad behavior." Well, you remember how this story began? Well, what he said and what he did are two different stories. And by now, I'm sure you can guess what, if anything, Father Snake did about the situation. Oh, I'm not saying he did not have a little chat with his children. Perhaps he did. All I know is that the situation continued as before. Snakelets and froglets were being injured and dying left and right. Father Frog finally called his children together and strongly suggested them that they leave the well. "Move to higher ground," he said. "Go into the fields, my children, where you will be safe." And so some of them did just that. Some went into the fields, and the others chose not to leave the well and moved with their mother and father back to the bottom of the well. When Father Snake heard that some of the froglets were leaving the well to save themselves, he too encouraged his youngsters to move into the fields. Like the froglets, some snakelets stayed in the water with their parents, while others left and moved out into the countryside and the fields. The frogs, because it was not in their nature to do so, did not attack the people, and to this very day live in harmony with them. As for the snakes, that is another story, and the war between man and snake continues to this very day. And for all that, I was not there, nor you there. So, believe it or not.